What if I told you your mind is not just thinking, it's creating your reality right now, whether you realize it or not? Most people spend their entire lives wishing, hoping, and waiting, but they never understand why nothing changes. It's not because they're unlucky. It's because their mind is running on a hidden program they didn't even choose. And here's the scary part. If you don't control your mind will control your life. But today, I'm going to show you something different, something powerful, something most people will never understand. By the end of this video, you won't just feel motivated, you'll feel activated, like a switch inside you has turned on. And once that switch turns on, there's no going back. Your mind is not something that turns on only when you want it to. It's working 24/7, quietly, consistently, and powerfully shaping your reality. Every single thought you repeat, every belief you hold, every story you tell yourself, it all adds up. And over time, it starts showing up in your life. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how people who constantly expect problems always seem to find them? And those who believe things will work out somehow find opportunities, even in difficult situations. That's not luck. That's the mind in action. The truth is, your brain doesn't filter between good or bad thoughts. It simply takes what you focus on the most and turns it into your reality. If you constantly think, I'm not good enough, your mind starts proving it to you. You hesitate more. You take fewer risks. You miss chances. And then you say, see, I was right. But in reality, your mind created that result. This is how silent manifestation works. Most people think manifestation is something magical or complicated, but it's actually happening in the most basic way through your daily thinking patterns. The problem is, people don't pay attention to what's going on inside their head. They let negative thoughts repeat without questioning them. They replay fears. They imagine worst-case scenarios. And without realizing it, they're training their mind to expect failure. And what the mind expects, it starts creating. But here's where everything changes. The moment you become aware of this process, you gain control. You start noticing your thoughts instead of blindly following them. You catch yourself when you think negatively. You pause. You shift. Because now you understand something powerful. You are not your thoughts. You are the one choosing them. And once you accept that, you stop being a victim of your mind and start becoming the creator of your reality. Now imagine this. What if, instead of thinking about everything that could go wrong, you started focusing on what could go right? What if you trained your mind to expect success, confidence, growth? At first, it might feel unnatural. Your mind will resist. It will try to pull you back to old patterns. That's normal, because your brain is used to what it has practiced the most. But with consistency, something incredible happens. Your focus changes. Your energy changes. Your actions start aligning with your new beliefs. You begin to notice opportunities you once ignored. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. And slowly, your external world starts reflecting your internal shift. That's manifestation in its real form. Not instant, not magical, but powerful, steady, and real. So understand this clearly, whether you realize it or not. You are already manifesting every single day. The only question is, are you manifesting by default or by design? Right now, there's a program running inside your mind, and most people don't even know it exists. It's not something you consciously chose. It was built over years through your childhood, your environment, your experiences, and the people around you. Every comment you heard, every failure you faced, every moment that made you feel less than, it all got stored deep inside your mind. And over time, it became your default setting. This is what we call your mental programming. It silently controls how you think, how you react, what you believe you deserve, and most importantly, what you believe is possible for you. For example, If you grew up hearing things like, money is hard to earn, or people like us don't succeed, your mind doesn't question it. It accepts it as truth. And then it starts living by that rule. So, even when you want success, a hidden voice inside says, that's not for you. And that's the real problem. Because you can't create a new reality with an old program. You might try to stay positive. You might set goals. You might even take action. But deep inside, if your subconscious mind is running a different story, it will always pull you back. That's why so many people feel stuck. They're not lacking effort. They're fighting their own programming. Think of your mind like a computer. Your conscious thoughts are like typing on the screen, but your subconscious beliefs, they're the operating system. And no matter what you type, the system will process it based on the code it's running. If the code says, I'm not confident, you'll hesitate even when opportunities are right in front of you. If the code says, I'm not worthy, you'll settle for less even when you deserve more. And here's the hardest truth. Most of this programming is invisible. You don't notice it because it feels normal. It feels like this is just who I am. But it's not who you are. It's what you've been trained to believe. And the moment you understand that, everything shifts. Because if the program was learned, it can be unlearned. If it was built, it can be rebuilt. Now here's where your power comes in. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You just need to start questioning the program. Every time a limiting thought appears, pause and ask yourself, is this actually true, or is this something I've been conditioned to believe? That simple question breaks the automatic pattern. Then you replace it. Not with fake positivity, but with intentional belief. Instead of I can't do this, you start saying, I'm learning how to do this. Instead of I'm not enough, you shift to I'm growing every day. At first, it feels uncomfortable because you're going against years of conditioning. But this discomfort is a sign of change. It means you're rewriting the code. And with repetition, your mind starts accepting the new program. You begin to think differently, act differently, see yourself differently. And slowly, your reality begins to change. Because here's the truth most people never realize. Your life is not controlled by your circumstances. It's controlled by your internal program. Change the program, and you change everything. Here's something most people completely miss. Thoughts by themselves are weak. You can think about success all day. You can repeat affirmations. You can say, I will achieve my goals. But if there's no emotion behind it, your mind doesn't take it seriously. Because your mind doesn't respond to words. It responds to feeling. Emotion is the signal that tells your brain, this matters. Pay attention. And whatever your brain believes matters, it starts to prioritize, focus on, and eventually bring into your reality. That's why negative experiences feel so powerful. Think about a moment when you felt fear, embarrassment, or rejection. You didn't just think it, you felt it deeply. And because of that emotion, your brain stored it strongly. It became a reference point. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your brain doesn't actually know the difference between something real and something vividly imagined with emotion. If you imagine failure and feel anxious, your body reacts as if it's happening right now. Your heart rate changes, your focus shifts, your behavior adapts. So imagine what happens when you flip this. What happens when you intentionally create powerful emotions around success? When you don't just think about your goals, but you feel them as if they're already happening. That's when your mind activates at a completely different level. Because now, you're not just sending a weak signal, you're sending a strong, clear command. And your brain starts aligning everything toward that feeling. Your attention sharpens. You notice opportunities you once ignored. You take actions with more confidence. You speak with more certainty. Your entire presence changes. All because of emotion. But here's the problem. Most people use emotion against themselves. They constantly feel stress, fear, doubt, and frustration. And every time they feel those emotions, they're reinforcing a negative state. They're training their mind to expect struggle, and the more they repeat that emotional pattern, the more real it becomes. That's why breaking this cycle is so important. You don't just need to change what you think, you need to change what you feel. Now, this doesn't mean you fake emotions or pretend everything is perfect. It means you start practicing emotional control. You become aware of how you're feeling in the moment. And when you notice negative emotions taking over, you pause. You reset. You shift your focus. Then, you intentionally generate a better emotional state. It could be excitement about your future, gratitude for what you already have, confidence in your ability to grow. Even small shifts in emotion can create powerful changes over time. And here's the key: repetition. The more often you feel positive, empowering emotions, the more your brain starts accepting them as your new normal. And once that happens, your behavior naturally follows. You don't force confidence. You become confident. You don't chase opportunities. You start attracting and recognizing them, because your internal state is now aligned with what you want. This is what people mean when they say, energy attracts. It's not something mystical. It's your emotional patterns shaping your focus, your actions, and your results. So remember this clearly. Your thoughts set the direction, but your emotions provide the power. And when both are aligned, that's when real transformation begins. Most people make one critical mistake when they think about their goals. They imagine them as something far away, something that will happen one day. And without realizing it, they keep pushing their success into the future. But your brain doesn't work like that. Your brain only understands one thing clearly: the present moment. So when you keep thinking, I'll be successful someday, your mind registers it as something that's not real yet, something that's distant, something that doesn't require action right now. And that's why nothing changes. But the moment you shift your visualization from future to present, everything starts to align. Visualization is not just about seeing your goals. It's about experiencing them in your mind as if they are happening right now. You don't just picture success, you step into it. You see it clearly. You hear it. You feel it. You create a mental experience so real that your brain starts accepting it as your new reality. And here's the powerful part. When your brain believes something is real, it begins adjusting your behavior to match it. Let's break this down. If you truly see yourself as confident, your posture changes. Your voice becomes stronger. Your decisions become clearer. If you visualize yourself achieving your goals, your mind starts focusing on actions that move you in that direction. Not because you forced it, but because your brain is trying to stay consistent with the image you've created. This is called mental conditioning. Athletes use it, high performers use it, successful people use it, sometimes without even realizing it. They don't just hope for success, they mentally live it before it happens. Now here's the mistake most people make. They visualize for a few seconds, without emotion, without detail, and expect results. That doesn't work. Weak visualization creates weak impact. To activate your mind, your visualization needs to be vivid and immersive. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what does success actually look like for me? Where am I? Who is around me? What am I doing? How do I feel in that moment? The more detail you add, the more real it becomes. And when you combine that with emotion, confidence, excitement, gratitude, that's when your brain locks onto it. But here's the truth. At first, it will feel fake. Your mind will resist. It will remind you of your current reality. It will say, this isn't true. That's normal. Because you're breaking an old pattern, but with repetition, something powerful happens. Your brain starts accepting the new image. It becomes familiar. It becomes comfortable. And once something feels familiar, your mind stops resisting it. It starts working with you instead of against you. You begin to act in ways that match your vision. You take opportunities more seriously. You push yourself further. You make decisions that align with the person you're becoming. And slowly, your external life begins to reflect your internal vision. That's when visualization turns into reality. So understand this clearly. You're not just imagining your future. You're training your mind to recognize it, believe it, and move toward it. And the more real you make it inside your mind, the faster it starts becoming real in your life. There's one silent habit that destroys more dreams than failure ever could. Doubt. Not loud, dramatic doubt, but the quiet, repetitive voice in your head that whispers, "What if this doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough?" And the dangerous part is, it sounds logical. It feels like you're being realistic, but in truth, you're feeding a loop that slowly weakens your confidence, your actions, and your results. This is what we call the doubt loop. It starts with a small negative thought. That thought creates hesitation. That hesitation leads to inaction or weak action. And then, when results don't show up, your mind says, "See, I told you." And just like that, the loop reinforces itself over and over again. Most people don't even realize they're stuck in it. They think the problem is outside: lack of opportunity, bad timing, other people. But the real problem is internal, because you can't move forward powerfully while constantly questioning yourself. Think about it. Have you ever wanted to do something, start a project, take a risk, speak up, but then that small voice stopped you? You didn't fail. You never even tried fully. That's the power of doubt. It doesn't just slow you down, it keeps you exactly where you are. Now here's the shift you need to understand. Doubt is not truth. It's a habit of thinking. It's something your mind learned over time, often from past experiences, fear of judgment, or fear of failure. And just like any habit, it can be broken, but not by ignoring it. You break it by interrupting it. The moment a doubtful thought appears, don't let it run on autopilot. Catch it. Pause, and then challenge it. Ask yourself, is this actually a fact, or just fear talking? Most of the time, you'll realize it's fear. And fear is not there to guide you, it's there to protect you from discomfort. But growth only happens through discomfort. So instead of trying to eliminate fear completely, you learn to move despite it. Now here's a powerful technique. Replace the doubt loop with a possibility loop. Instead of asking, "What if this fails?" Flip it. Ask, "What if this works better than I imagined?" Instead of focusing on worst-case scenarios, start imagining best-case outcomes. This doesn't mean you become unrealistic. It means you stop automatically choosing the negative side. Because right now, your brain is biased toward doubt. You're just retraining it to consider possibility. And here's what happens when you do this consistently. Your hesitation decreases. Your actions become stronger. You start taking chances you once avoided. And even when things don't go perfectly, you don't collapse. You adapt. You learn. You keep moving. That's how you break the loop. But remember, this is not a one-time fix. Doubt will come back, again and again. The difference is, you won't let it control you anymore. You'll recognize it. You'll question it. And you'll choose a better response. Because at the end of the day, your success is not decided by whether doubt appears. It's decided by what you do when it does. Kill the loop, and you free your potential. Here's a truth that most people underestimate. Your life is not shaped by what you do once. It's shaped by what you do repeatedly. One positive thought won't change your life. One burst of motivation won't transform you. One day of confidence won't rewrite your future. But repeated thoughts, repeated actions, repeated beliefs, that's where real change happens. Because your mind learns through repetition. Every time you think a thought, you strengthen it. Every time you repeat a belief, you make it more real. Every time you act a certain way, you reinforce that identity. This is how your current reality was built. Not overnight, but over time. Think about it. If you spent years telling yourself, "I'm not confident," that belief didn't appear randomly. It was repeated again and again through thoughts, experiences, and self-talk. And now it feels like truth. But it's not truth. It's repetition. And here's the powerful part. If repetition created your current reality, repetition can also create a new one. This is where most people fail. They try something once or twice, and when they don't see immediate results, they quit. They say, "It's not working." But they don't realize their old patterns were built over years. You can't expect to replace them in a few days. Change requires consistency. It requires patience. It requires showing up again and again, even when you don't feel like it. Because every time you repeat a new thought, you're laying down a new mental path. At first, it's weak, unfamiliar, uncomfortable. But with repetition, it gets stronger, more natural, more automatic, until one day it becomes your default. That's how transformation happens. Not through intensity, but through consistency. Now let's make this practical. If you want to become more confident, don't wait to feel confident first. Start acting confident in small ways daily. Speak up a little more. Hold eye contact. Stand a little taller. Repeat these actions consistently. Your mind will catch up. If you want to change your beliefs, don't just say something once. Repeat it daily. Remind yourself again and again. Not like a robot, but with awareness and intention. Because the more you expose your mind to a new idea, the more it starts accepting it. And here's the key. Consistency beats motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. Other days, you won't feel like doing anything. That's normal. But if you rely only on motivation, you'll stay inconsistent. And inconsistency creates no results. So instead of chasing motivation, build repetition. Create small daily habits that are easy to follow, even on your worst days. Because small actions repeated daily create massive results over time. This is how successful people operate. They don't rely on how they feel. They rely on what they've trained themselves to do consistently. And over time, that consistency turns into identity. You don't just try to be better. You become better. So remember this clearly. Your mind is always learning. The only question is, what are you teaching it through repetition? Because whatever you repeat the most will eventually become your reality. Right now, nothing outside you has changed, but something inside you has. You've just realized that your mind isn't your enemy. It's your most powerful tool. The same mind that created your limitations can create your breakthrough. The question is not, can you manifest? Because you already are. The real question is, what are you choosing to create from this moment forward?